Hi, everybody. Hi. See, we're still on our way through the rest of Boundaries by Dr. Henry M. Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And we're coming up on the end of Boundaries. And I'm talking about internal resistance to boundaries. And we previously talked about resistance, external resistance to boundaries, so resistance from other people. But now we're talking about resistance that can come from us when it comes to our own boundaries. And it's good information. It's some scary information. Some of it may feel uncomfortable. Some of it you may not want to do. But if you want a life of peace and happiness and joy and, being able to be okay in yourself and okay in what it is you do and being okay to say yes to the things that you want to say yes to, or to say no to the things that you don't want in your life, then you're going to have to take the steps for dealing with people externally, but also these steps for dealing with yourself internally, as you may have some real struggle trying to, let yourself have boundaries or exercise your healthy boundaries with other individuals and stuff, particularly those who are used to you being in compliance to what it is that they want. So today we're talking about the internal fear of anger. And I'm not talking about the fear of your anger on someone else. I'm talking about your fear of other people's anger. And we talked about one of the external resistances to boundaries is other people's anger. And many people are dead set frightened against other people's anger, even as adults. We can be very frightened of other people's anger. And many times that's the reason we give in and let down our boundaries to do things maybe we don't want to do because we're so scared of people's anger and we want to appease their anger. And really, in a case of anger, it can come from a place of childhood. If you grew up in a family where anger was used as a controlling factor, and there are many families like that, where your mother was angry and she used her anger to control you, or where your father was angry and they used their anger to control you, or siblings were angry and they used their anger to control you and stuff, or a spouse was even angry in a relationship and they used their anger to control you. You can be very nervous about anger. Trust and believe. You can be very freaked out about the prospect of feeling somebody's possible wrath if you don't do what they say. But, one of the things I have to say about anger and stuff and about whatever is going to happen with people being angry at me about stuff is it's not going to kill me if people are angry at me. And it's not going to kill them either. Okay. They'll live. They'll be fine. People will be angry. But you know what? My thought is always better you be angry than I be angry and resentful because I did something that I didn't want to do, and stuff. When I keep my boundaries with people, I'm happy and I'm at peace. If other people can't handle me having boundaries, that's really not my problem. That's their problem and stuff. And you can't give in to other people's anger. You look at other people's anger, usually from people with kind of a dependent child perspective. You act as if whoever's going to be angry with you is the only person you can depend on and stuff, and so you can't rile them up. But really, is that really true? I mean, look at the real perspective. Look at the real sort of be real about what's going to happen if so and so gets angry. They'll be mad and people may scream and they may shout and they may holler and all that sort of stuff. And, that'll be about it. You'll go on with your life. They may be mad at you. They may be mad at you forever. But really, in that case, they just have a character problem. It's not your problem. It's not your problem to solve. And what you don't want to do is let other people's anger either when you're exercising your boundaries, get you in the mode of being angry back at them, so being aggressive back at them, or go into the mode of being passive and then just do what they want you to do. You know, if angry people can make you lose your boundaries, you probably have an angry person in your head that you still fear. So if somebody at work getting angry at you makes you lose your boundaries, there may be some part of you that's still going back to your childhood when your mother or father would get angry at you about something, and you still have sort of this unnatural fear towards them, even as an adult person. You'll need to work through some of the hurt you experienced in that angry past. A hurt, frightened part of you needs to be exposed to the light and the healing of God and His people. You need love to allow you to allow you to let go of that angry parent or angry sibling or angry spouse and stand up to other adults that you face now, even angry parents. Some steps you might want to take to do that, they recommend, are: one, realize you have a problem, which is always great. You know, you have a problem facing people's anger. Two, go talk to someone about your paralysis. You will not work this out alone when it comes to people, with you trying to get over your fear of people being angry with you. That's a deep hurt and can be a deep damage for people when they have had these sort of angry situations where you've essentially been really emotionally abused by someone and stuff, and you'll need help with that. In your support relationships, find the source of your fear and begin to recognize the person in your head that the angry person represents. So you need to recognize, who is this? When I have an angry coworker or angry boss, who is this that I'm thinking about? Who is this that they're representing to me in my past? Whose anger are they, are they freaking me out? What's freaking me out about them, about their anger? What has happened with another person? Talk out your hurts and feelings regarding these past issues. Practice the boundary setting skills in, of course, this book. Don't go into automatic pilot and give up your boundaries either by fighting or by being passive. Give yourself time and space until you can respond. If you need physical distance from people, get it, but don't give up your boundaries. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we can't really respond at that moment. Sometimes we have to go away and we have to, get a hold of ourselves, think about what we're doing, not just respond in that automatic thing or get this automatic, fear or automatic aggression about what people are doing. When you are ready, respond. Stick to self-control statements. Stick to your decisions. Just reiterate what you will do or not do and let them be angry. Tell them that you care for them, if it's in the case of someone you care for. Maybe ask if you can do anything else to help. But your no still stands. Regroup. Talk to support people about the interaction and see if you kept your ground, lost ground, or were attacking. Many times you will feel mean when you actually weren't mean. And I think a lot of people think they're mean when they have boundaries. But really, as I said before, to me, it's meaner not to have them. And you may need a reality check on that. You may have thought that you kept your boundaries when you actually gave away the farm, but you need to get feedback from somebody else that's supporting you, who's really supporting in you, your boundaries and your healthy boundary making. Keep practicing. Role play. Continue to gain insight and understanding about the past and grieve your losses. Continue to gain skills in the present. After a while, you think, I remember when angry people could control me, but I've dealt with the things inside that allowed that. It's nice to be free. Remember, God does not want angry people to control you. He's God. He don't want to share you with everybody else. And He's on your side. The next one is fear of the unknown. Another powerful internal resistance to setting boundaries is fear of the unknown. Being controlled by others is a safe prison. We know where all the rooms are. As one woman said, I didn't want to move out of hell. I knew all the names of the streets. And it can be that way sometimes. Sometimes, and I've had it happen to me, sometimes when you're in an uncomfortable situation, you're so used to being uncomfortable that that's all you know. That's all you're familiar with. And you could be a little scared at the thought of moving out of this, and stuff. Although you're really uncomfortable and you really sort of hate it, it's you're comfortable in your discomfort. And it's really not where you want to be or should be. And you have to get over your fear of the unknown, of what's out there if you actually set up some boundaries. Because what's out there, if you set up some healthy boundaries, is a really good life. Setting boundaries and being more independent is scary because it's a step into the unknown. The Bible has many stories about people called by God out of the familiar to an unknown land. And he promises them that they will step out on faith and live his way. He'll lead them to a better land. Change is frightening. It may comfort you to know that if you are afraid, you're possibly on the right road. The road to change and growth. And I think people sometimes don't really understand the lessons that are to be taught sometimes in painful experiences and in fearful experiences and stuff, that they're really lessons. Now, I'm a person too. I'm sometimes very nervous about change or about things changing. I sometimes have a hard time with those. I get so scared and I get so worried about things. But usually what happens is if I take the step out, well, one or two things happens. Either it's really a great success, or either it's not such a great success, but nobody dies. You just go back and you regroup. I mean, the other one's good. The other one, hey, not so great, but you learn some lessons and nobody drops dead. And then you think, well, what was I afraid of this whole time that I haven't been doing this thing that, I've been desiring to do? Uh, the road to change and growth. Yeah, it may comfort you to know that if you're afraid, you're possibly on the right road, the road to change and growth. One businessman I know says that if he's not totally frightened at some point in every day, he's not stretching himself far enough. He's very successful at what he does. Boundaries separate you from what you have known and what you do not want. Remember that. Boundaries separate you from what you have known and what you do not want. There are two things going on when you set boundaries. They separate you from the things you have known. The second is those things that you've known were things you didn't want anyway. They open up all sorts of new options for you. You will have mixed emotions as you let go of old and familiar venture out into the new. Think a moment about the new and frightening development boundary steps that have opened up into bigger and better worlds for you. As a 2-year-old, you stepped away from mom and dad to explore the world. As a 5-year-old, you left home to go to school, opening up possibilities of socialization and learning. As an adolescent, you step further away from your parents as new competencies and possibilities emerge. As a high school graduate, you left for college or you got a job and you learned how to live on your own. And all of those things were good things. They weren't bad things. Yeah, it was scary. When I left home and went to college, yeah, it was scary. But I tell you what, I don't want to live back at home no more. You couldn't get me to live back at home, okay? And stuff. You couldn't. And people always talk about, oh, I don't even wish I was a kid no more. You couldn't pay me to be a child anymore. I like the life, this life and what's happened and what's developed over all this time as I set out on my own to do new things and to learn new stuff. These steps are scary indeed, but along with fear, you stretch to new heights, possibilities, realizations of God, yourself, and the world. This is a two-sided nature of boundaries. You may lose something, but you gain a new life of peacefulness and self-control. And here's some ideas. Of course, we giving you lots of ideas that may help you along the way. Pray. No better antidote for anxiety about the future exists than prayer, than faith and hope and the realization that of the one who loves you. Prayer gets you in touch with the one with whom our security lies. Lean on God and ask Him to lead you in future steps. Read the Bible. God continually tells us in the Bible that He has our future in His hands and that He promises to lead us. The Bible is full of stories of how He's proven Himself faithful to others and led them into the unknown. Memorizing verses will give you comfort when you face the unknown. It will remind you that God is trustworthy and He's always trustworthy. Develop your gifts. Boundaries create independence of functioning. We cannot feel good about our independence if we are not developing skills and competencies. Take classes, gain information, get counseling, get more training and education, and practice, practice, practice. And your skills develop, you will have less fear of the future. And know that that's what you have to do with boundaries. It's something that you have to keep practicing. It's not that when you don't have boundaries and you suddenly decide you want boundaries, that those boundaries will automatically come and it'll all be good and everything will work itself out. It'll take a long time. It'll take some defending those boundaries. It'll take some times of you maybe wheeling back and forth between maybe having boundaries and not having boundaries. But really, once you start to see the positive nature of having healthy boundaries, you will want to do that more and more and more. And before you know it, you'll be living a life with healthy boundaries. Lean on your support group. Just as a child who's learning boundaries needs to look back and check with mother for refueling, so do adults. You need your support group to help comfort you in the changes you're going through. Lean on them. Gain strength from them. Learn from the witness of others. Research and experience has shown that it's very helpful to get with people who are struggling and who have gone through what you have gone through. Personally, that's one of my things is, hey, you don't have to be an expert, but if you've gone through something and if you've got some knowledge and some real firsthand knowledge of things, I take that as a much, deeper and better source of knowledge for myself than somebody that hasn't gone through nothing. This is more than support. It's being able to hear stories of people who have been there, who have been scared, but who can witness to the fact that you can make it. Listen to their rituals, listen to their trials and how they've been in your shoes and how God was faithful to them. And have confidence in your ability to learn. There is nothing that you are presently doing that you did not have to learn. At one point, the things that you are now able to do were unfamiliar and frightening. This is the nature of life. But the important thing to remember is that you can learn. You can learn healthy boundaries. You can learn healthy boundaries. You can learn and have healthy boundaries. Once you realize that you are able to learn new things and handle new situations, you cease fearing the future. People who have strong fears about the unknown have a strong need to know everything beforehand. And no one ever knows how to do something before they do it. Go and learn it. Some people have confidence in their ability to learn and others don't. If you can begin to learn that you can learn, future unknowns look totally different. Many depressed people suffer from a syndrome called learned helplessness, in which they have been taught that whatever they do will make no difference on the outcome. Many dysfunctional families caught in destructive cycles reinforces this in their children. But when you grow up and see other options that will make a difference, you do not have to stay stuck in helplessness you learned at home. You can learn new patterns in relating and functioning. This is the essence of the personal power God wants you to have. Know that you can learn, that whatever you learned at home, you don't have to keep that. Know that even though you may have been doing something all of your life, I'm 41 years old, even though you may have been doing something all of your life, you can change. You can be different. It can happen. And I'm a witness to that. We rework past separations. Often when we have to make a change or go through a loss, you find that your fear or sadness seems greater than the situation warrants. Some of these heightened emotions may come from past separations or memories of change. If you had some serious losses in the past, such as losses of friends through frequent moves, you may be tapping into what was not resolved in the past. Make sure you find someone with wisdom and begin to see if the fear and pain you are feeling as you face the present is coming from something unresolved in the past. This will help you get into perspective when you feel and perceive. You may be seeing the world through the eyes of a 6-year old instead of the eyes of a 35-year-old that you are. Rework the past. Do not let it become your future. Structure. For many people, life changes are unbearable because the loss of structure they entail, and essentially that's for some people sometimes who have problems with letting go of control. Any kind of loss of any change or anything, any kind is very can be very difficult for them. In such changes, we often lose both internal and external structures. Things we used to depend on inside are no longer there, and people, places, and schedules that made us secure on the outside have disappeared. This can leave us in a state of chaos. Creating internal as well as external structure will help these times of reorganization. Internal structure will come from creating boundaries, following the steps in this book. In addition, gaining new values and beliefs, learning new spiritual principles and information, having new disciplines and plans and sticking to them, and having others listen to your pain are all structure building. But while you're doing this, you may have some need for some strong external structure. Set a certain time every day to call a friend. Schedule weekly meetings with your support group, or join a regular Bible study or a 12-step support program. In chaotic times, you may need some structure around which orients you to new changes. As you grow and the change is not overwhelming, you begin to give up some of the structure you may need. Remember what God has done. The Bible is full of God's reminding his people of the things he has done in the past to give them faith for the future. Hope is rooted in memory. We remember getting help in the past, and that gives us hope for the future. Some people feel so hopeless because they have no memory of being helped in the past. Remind yourself of what God has done and who he is. If you have been a Christian for a long time, look back into your life and remember how he's intervened, the situations from which he's delivered you from, the ways that he has come through for you. Listen to others. Remember the grace he has shown us through his son. He did not do that for nothing. He did it for our redemption and future. If he has let you down or it seems that he has never done anything for you, allow him to start now. Many times God allowed terrible things for a long time before delivering his people. We do not know God's timing. But if you have started a recovery now, he is moving in your life. The time of your deliverance is near. Hang on and let God do for you what he has done for so many. And that's just a personal, I'm going to take those personal words for all of you and for myself. That is one of the things that has helped me start and gain boundaries is my memory of all the good things that God has done for me. I've been a Christian for a long time. I've been a Christian since early 2000s. So, I've been a Christian over 10 years and stuff, so a good chunk of my adult life has been as a Christian.